When it comes to networking, you probably heard of the term MAC address a lot. So in this lecture, I'm going to cover what do we mean by MAC address, what it's used for, and how to change it. MAC address stands for Media Access Control. It's a permanent physical and unique address assigned to network interfaces by the device manufacturer. So whether you have a wireless card or a wired or Ethernet card, each one of these network cards come with a specific address that is unique to this card. So there is no two devices in the world that would have the same MAC address, and this address will always be the same to this specific device. Even if you unplug it from your computer, connect it to another computer, then this network device will always have the same address. So you might already know that the IP address is used in the internet to identify computers and communicate between devices on the internet. The MAC address is used within the network to identify devices and transfer data between devices. So each piece of data or packet that is sent within the network contains a source MAC and a destination MAC. Therefore, this packet would flow from the source MAC to the destination MAC. So, because this is a physical unique address to each interface, to each network device, and because it is used to identify devices, then changing it will make you anonymous on the network. Not only that, but the MAC address is often used by filters to prevent or allow devices to connect to networks and do specific tasks on the network. So being able to change your MAC address to another device's MAC address will allow you to impersonate this device and allow you to do things that you might not be able to do. So you'd be able to bypass filters or connect to networks that only specific devices with specific MAC addresses can connect to, and you will also be able to hide your identity. Now, changing the MAC address is very simple. So let me show you how to do that. First of all, I'm going to use the ifconfig command to list all the network interfaces available on my Kali machine. What I mean by network interface is any device that allows us to connect to a network. So an example is a Wi-Fi card or an Ethernet card and so on. So you can see, first of all, we have ETH0, and this is a virtual interface created by VirtualBox when we set Kali to use a NAT network. So you can see the interface name is ETH0. You can see it has an IP address because, like I said, it's connected to a network. So if we go here, we can see it's saying wired connected. So this is the interface that represents the wired network that Kali is connected to, which is actually a virtual NAT network. You can also see the net mask, the broadcast, and a really important piece of information, which is the other. This is the MAC address of this virtual interface. Now you can see similar information for my other two interfaces, the LO and the LAN 0. The only thing is, you can see for both of these interfaces, we do not have an IP address. And the main reason for that is because none of these interfaces is connected to a network. Now LO is a default interface created by Linux, and LAN 0 is my real wireless adapter, so I can use it to connect to Wi-Fi networks. But if I go on the network in here, you'll see Wi-Fi is not connected because I actually didn't connect to any network, and that's why it does not have an IP address. Now this doesn't matter because what we want to do is to just change the MAC address, which again is shown here under the other part. So similar to what you're seeing here for ETH0. Now, in order to change any of the values that you see in here, you have to first disable the interface. So, in this example, we want to change the MAC address. So that is represented by the other, and the value is right here. So in order to disable an interface, we're gonna do ifconfig, followed by the interface name, which is LAN0 in my example, followed by down to disable it. Now, if I hit enter, you'll see the command runs with no errors, so it means that it got executed properly. And the next thing that we need to do is to change the option that we want to change. And in this example, we want to change the other, which is the MAC address. So first we're gonna type ifconfig. We're gonna type the interface that we want to change one of its options. Then we're gonna type the option that we want to change. And what we want to change is the hardware address. So we're gonna do HW other. Then we're gonna give it the address that we want to change the MAC address to. So for example, I'm gonna use 001122334455. Very simple command. We're doing ifconfig LAN0 to select the interface that we want to change its option. We want to set the hardware address, and we want to set this address to this specific address. So you can use any address that you want following the same format shown here. Just make sure your address starts with 00. So I'm gonna hit enter, and again we don't see any error messages, so it means the command got executed properly. And finally, we just need to enable the interface because we disabled it by doing ifconfig LAN0 down, so we just need to do ifconfig LAN0 up to enable it. Now the interface is enabled, and if we do ifconfig again and look at the other part in here, you can see that it is changed to the MAC address that we specified. Now this is done and your MAC address is changed. Now you can go ahead and start using the interface, and it will appear to have this MAC address instead of its original MAC address. And like I said, this can be useful in so many scenarios. Now, depending on how you're going to use your interface, the network manager that comes pre-installed in Kali and most Linux distros might automatically reset your Mac to the original. Now, not everybody will face this issue. That's why I'm not gonna show you how to fix this issue in this video. But if you do face this problem, then I've included a YouTube video in the resources of this lecture that shows how to fix this issue.